Hey guys, welcome to Home Church. It's Testimony Tuesday and I'm delighted that you can join us tonight. If you've been a regular with us on a Tuesday night, you'll know that last week Alex finished off her testimony, just sharing about the things that God has done in her life. I'm delighted that tonight my good friend John Dick, who's the pastor at Craighalbert Church, he's got an incredible story that I heard him share with his own church over the last number of weeks, and I've asked if it was okay for us to share that here at Home Church as well. It's a story that I know will inspire many of you, so I'm excited to hear what God is going to do through John's story. We're going to start off with some worship. As always, tonight we'll have a Zoom hangout together at the end of the service, so even if you're joining us tonight for the first time, we'd love it if you came onto Zoom after, said hello, let us know who you are, where you're watching from, anything like that at all. Tonight is actually the last Zoom hangout before summer, so do come along and join us. Next week I've got something really cool happening. We're going to have the Home Church quiz night. So next Tuesday we're going to have Testimony Tuesday at the normal time of 7:30, and then at 8:30 we are going to have a Zoom quiz night rather than the Zoom hangout. So I want to encourage you, get together in your families and your homes, and we're going to have that quiz night. It's going to be fantastic. That's next Tuesday, and then the following Tuesday after that I'm on holiday, so there won't be any Zoom hangout, and also that will be the last Testimony Tuesday of this type. We're going to have 3 weeks of John Dick sharing his testimony, and then Testimony Tuesday will stop for the summer whilst myself and the team get the church ready to bring you a new style of Testimony Tuesday that will launch the week of our big weekend, so week beginning the 14th. So it'll be Tuesday the 15th of September is when Testimony Tuesday will relaunch in its new format, and I've already got some really exciting testimonies coming to you then. So 3 weeks left of Testimony Tuesday as we know it. Next week, instead of the Zoom hangout, we're going to have our Zoom quiz night, so I encourage you all to let me know you're coming to that so we can get prepared, and really look forward to doing that with you. So we're going to start off with some worship, and then we'll hand over straight to John Dick, who's going to share his story with us. So before we do that, as always, let's just pray. God, I thank you for being here tonight. I thank you for this opportunity for people to hear how you have done an incredible work in a young boy's life from a scheme, and the difference that made to a community, the difference that made to a family. And God, you still work in those ways today regularly in the lives of millions of people all over the world. So I pray that tonight, God, you would inspire people, you would encourage people, you would draw people to you, you would strengthen the faith of those that know you. And God, you would breathe new life into those that don't. We pray that for a life-changing impact tonight. Bless us as we hear from John, and before that as we worship together, and may all of this bring glory to you tonight, God. We pray this in your name, amen. Let's worship, guys.
Thank you for the cross, Lord. Thank you for the price you paid, bearing all my sin and shame. In love you came and gave amazing grace. Thank you for this love, Lord. Thank you for the nail-pierced hands, washed me in your cleansing flow. Now all I know, your forgiveness and embrace. Worthy is the Lamb, seated on the throne. We crown you now with many crowns. You reign victorious, high and lifted up, Jesus, Son of God, the darling of heaven, crucified. Worthy is the Lamb. Worthy is the Lamb. Thank you for the cross, Lord. Thank you for the price you paid, bearing all my sin and shame. In love you came and gave amazing grace. Thank you for this love, Lord. Thank you for the nail-pierced hands, washed me in your cleansing flow. Now all I know, your forgiveness and embrace. Worthy is the Lamb, seated on the throne. We crown you now with many crowns. You reign victorious, high and lifted up, Jesus, Son of God, the darling of heaven, crucified. Worthy is the Lamb. Worthy is the Lamb. Worthy is the Your grace is enough, more than I need. At your word I will believe. I wait for you, draw near again. Let your spirit make me new, and I will fall at your feet. I will fall at your feet, and I will worship you here. Jesus, light the way by the power of your word. I am restored, I am redeemed by your Spirit. I am free, and I will fall at your feet. I will fall at your feet, and I will worship you here. Freely you gave it
Hi everyone, it's Emma here from home church. I was going to take you all on a lovely walk, but the great Scottish summer has arrived. So I thought going to home church and finding my faith pretty much felt like a homecoming to me, you know, finding my home. So I thought, what better way to chat to you today than to hide from the rain and bring you into my home. So you're going to come in with me, we're going to bake some cookies, have a coffee, have a chat. Let's go get warm and dry out of this rain. So my journey to faith kind of came out of the blue for me. It wasn't something I had in 38 years of living ever really acknowledged or thought about. I had never grown up going to church, really wasn't exposed to religion in any way, shape or form. So it really did come out of the blue for me. But I woke one day and literally felt a strong pull towards something. I didn't know what that something was until a very close friend of mine that I grew up with began to talk about her journey towards faith as well. And I started to feel as if, okay, maybe this is what the pull is pulling me towards. Another friend I happened to speak to that same week, who I'd known for a while, didn't know she was religious in any way, she began telling me about her faith. So two people I was close to, and this sensation of pulling me towards something, showed me quite clearly that what that pull was to pull me closer to God and to find out more about what that would mean for me and my life. So I decided to, in June of 2019, go to home church. I knew the pastor at home church, Dave, from Rookie Rockstars. Being a teacher, we'd had Rookie Rockstars in school and in my own children's school. And my kids went to music lessons at Rookies as well. Didn't know that Dave was a Christian before that. And then obviously when he took up the pastorship at home church, and I seen things on Facebook, and it was extending a real open invitation to anybody who'd never even been to church before to come along. And the invitation really was to come and see what church was all about. So I felt intrigued, and everything felt as if it was all aligning at the exact right time, and very much a path ahead of me screaming out for me to walk down it. Now, I was concerned, never having been to church before. I was worried about attending because I was unaware of all the kind of ritualistic etiquette, if you like. And I thought, oh gosh, I don't know what to do. But I really needn't have been worried at all. That very first sermon that I heard, the first Sunday I went to home church in June 2019, I sat and listened to the words. And at the end of it felt, that was, for me, that sermon, those words were addressing me personally. They spoke to my situation in life. They spoke to how I felt. And I just thought, wow, this was really personal. This is where I'm meant to be. And when I was younger, used to love singing and was in choirs and whatnot. And the worship before and at the end of every service was incredible. Just that kind of singing together lifted your spirits, and the energy in the service is incredible when the worship team are up singing and everybody's singing along, and I loved it. At the end of the service that week, people were invited to respond, and I put my hand up. I knew that this was where I was supposed to be, and that getting to know Jesus was the path I was supposed to be on. At that point, I was gifted a Bible. Now, in 38 years of living, I had never, ever read a Bible. And when I sat in my bed that night and read it, I couldn't put it down. Everything I read just made so much sense to me. And I literally thought, as I turned the pages, yes, I agree with all of this. Why have I never read this before? It just felt so right, everything that I read. It reaffirmed everything that had been in my heart, everything that had been on my mind. And every page I turned thrilled me and filled me with love. So finding my faith has changed a number of things for me. It's given me a brand new outlook on life. It's made me lose a lot of fear, if you like. Not fear about, I don't have any fear about what happens now when our time here comes to an end, or I don't have any fear that I'll ever have to handle anything that I can't cope with. And I never have any fear that there'll be anything that I will not be able to get through, because my faith literally, and I know it sounds so cliche to say it, I literally feel as if my faith and this strong connection and relationship that I have with God will get me through anything. Good and bad. It'll help me get through difficult times, but also it's amazing to kind of revel and bask in the joy of it, you know, and yeah, so in that respect, it's taken away a lot of fear. A kind of odd analogy, I guess, to describe it is, so I felt like purposeful before I had faith, but since finding myself on this path and exploring Christianity, I feel like I have reaffirmed my purpose to myself, and I feel now being connected to God has really helped me fulfill my purpose in life. So if you kind of think about the context of, you know, a phone charger. So a phone charger is a purposeful implement, but when it's plugged in, it truly fulfills its purpose. And I kind of feel now like I'm a plugged in phone charger. I don't know if that sounds weird anyway. But I feel like I am now able to really fulfill my purpose, and I feel so compelled to share love and just try and let people know how amazing it makes you feel inside, how secure, how calm inside, even when things round about you are stormy and difficult. You just have this real comforting sense of peace inside.
So the cookies were a great hit. There's now 4 left out of 12 cookies, but that's okay. So just one final thing, I've found that actually having prayer as part of my routine has been hugely transformational. Not only does it give you kind of quiet, self-reflective and meditative time, but it also has brought so many things to fruition that I've prayed for and asked for that I think prior to becoming a Christian I would have called simply serendipitous, and now I see that serendipity is anything but by chance. It is amazing and intentional and provided by God. So yeah, I found prayer has just been such a hugely important part of my journey, and yeah, has helped nurture my connection with God so much, and really focus on if I need help with anything, making sure that I'm taking time to talk to God about it. If I'm looking for clarification on wondering about what should I do in a certain situation, taking it to God and prayer has just helped so much. And he answers that prayer by putting things on my heart and making me realise things just pop into my head out of nowhere, and I go, right, okay, that's my answer, fantastic, and it's provided for me. So yeah, have really found prayer to be an incredibly powerful part of my Christian journey.
Hey Home Church, my name's John. I'm a friend of Dave's, and he's asked me if I would share my journey and experience of faith with you guys over the next few weeks. I want you to see how God can take a wee guy from the scheme and make a real change and a real transformation, not only in my life, but in my family's life and also in the community at that time. I believe God is moving today as he was back then, and I want you to come and hear part of my story and be encouraged to see what God can do even now in your life and your community and your family and in home church today. So come with me on this journey, and I look forward to sharing with you. So tonight I thought I'd do something a wee bit different and come to View Park. I'm actually down the Glen just now, standing on the Roman Bridge, where this was our playground. This is where we spent most of our time. It was a place that during the day you could have pretty awesome fun, but at night time it actually got a bit wild. And then growing up we just loved playing adventures in here, building dens, playing soldiers, everything else as we were young. But as we started to grow up, it became a very different place. This was a place where people, when they nicked cars, brought them down and burned them out and pushed them off that bridge. It's a place where a lot of stuff happened that, you know, hit the news. So it was an interesting place to grow up, View Park. It was always full of adventures. I thought I'd come over tonight just to have a wander and actually just look at some of the memories of growing up here. I was brought up with my mum and dad, an only child. That doesn't mean that I'm spoiled, by the way. Well, maybe a wee bit, but it was, you know, an interesting childhood. Everybody's got their own normal in some ways, and when you think about it, your normal is what you're in right now. And for me, View Park and what it was like then was just normal. One of the things we loved to do was build tree swings, and we would always try and find the biggest drop to be able to swing over, just for that sense of adventure. I hated it, to be honest, but you just went along with it because everybody else was doing it. Don't know if you can see that symbol on the post in the white. That is a symbol for the VYT, and it's fascinating that this pillar's got a date on it, but then here's this bit of graffiti of what was kind of the gang of the day. The VYT used to come down here to the Glen and then meet up with the guys at Kirk Shaw's and have a battle and see who was going to win. That was part of the adventures that people had as they came down here. I remember one day my next door neighbour coming in and asking my mum and dad if the minibus for the church had been nicked, and he'd been out a walk actually on this path that I'm on now and discovered the minibus that the church had just got had been set on fire and had been stolen. But the guys that had nicked it hadn't actually realised that the team for the church in View Park had bought this bus to take them places. And when they discovered that, they never really had a problem with their vehicles again. But these were the kind of things that were happening in View Park at that time. I remember seeing my neighbour's car getting nicked by the guy who lived straight across the road from him, and then hearing it getting rallied down here in the Glen. There's a lot of problems with addiction as well in View Park, and that really ripped through our wee community. Families being destroyed with real addictions and real problems that also in some ways can affect my family as well. For me, church growing up was in this community centre behind me, the Burnhead Community Centre, and this is where we had our services as a church. The team decided that this was the most central location for the scheme, and they had their services at night time. So we would come 5 o'clock, get the place set up, 6 o'clock start the service, and then halfway through, unusually, would have a break for tea and coffee, which was also an unofficial smoke break, to be honest, and then go back in to hear the sermon. But you know, the amazing thing was God was moving in families. This place was getting busier and busier every week, and folks were coming in and meeting Jesus for themselves. I remember one morning, I was off school. I think I wasn't well. My mum was at a coffee morning in one of the houses behind me here, number 22. The church had a house here where Lorna lived in the upstairs, and they were able to do activities and Bible studies and coffee mornings in the downstairs. And I overheard somebody telling somebody else about how they could actually know Jesus for themselves. And all the things they had told me all kind of made sense. And I remember that night going home and just praying to God and asking God to come into my life, to forgive me for all the bad stuff. And even though I was just a young guy, I knew I hadn't been really bad, but I knew there was enough there that had disappointed God, and I asked for forgiveness that day. So a coffee morning in the house behind me was actually instrumental, after all the kids clubs and all the things that I'd heard about, for me finding faith. A lot of the time when we were growing up as kids, if we weren't down the Glen, we were here in the Galladay Park playing football with our unofficial street team league that we would have. People would get their teammates for their street and come and play here or whatever park we could find. And those were the days that it was fun. We would be at the local BBs, we would be doing various stuff, but as we got a wee bit older, the temptations to do the things that were going to start to destroy lives started to come in. Folks were getting involved in drink, drugs. It seemed to be that there were people at our age losing their lives. Some folks ended up in prison because they committed serious crime and taking other people's lives. And it went from the fun days of just being in the park playing football to seeing friends' lives spiral out of control. I was glad I had faith. I was glad I had the influence of the guys in the church who were investing in me and my family. It broke my heart one day when one guy decided that he was no longer going to discover what faith looked like for himself and decided to go on his own path. And the heartbreak when I saw in the headline news that this guy had actually killed somebody in our local community, and just thought, wow, how different life could be. The path that I took was a path filled with hope. And yes, I made mistakes and I messed up at times, but I could see the destruction and the dangers that were out there for everybody else. And that's where I was glad for the team that had decided to move into this area, to give up their lives to invest in wee families like mine, and I'll be forever grateful for that. When I think of the people who came into this community centre for church and had their lives turned around, from coming in and singing football songs along with the hymns, hearing the guys coming in that used to fight every weekend, and then seeing them finding God, seeing whole families discover that they could have their lives transformed and bringing hope when things seemed to be hopeless. I saw this week on week. I saw the real impact that God was making on real families in my community. And as I saw this church grow, it gave me an appetite and a hunger to be part of it. So I get involved in as many things as I could. It gave me a heart for actually reaching out to people and letting them see that it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter your background, it doesn't matter if you're from View Park or you're from Dillata. Actually what matters is you connecting with God. And that's what was happening in here. If you imagine just how many families engaged at that time, and the church was growing and growing and growing, it was just amazing. And in fact, as I'm going to talk about in a wee while about my time at Johnston, we saw that happen again, even in another community, in another part of Scotland, because God was moving and because God was changing lives. So in here, we had services, we had families, we had events, we had great fun, to be honest. But actually what we saw was real faith happening in real lives. And that's what was so exciting about this work in View Park. The people who invested in my life, I will be forever grateful for them giving of their time, giving of their resources, and actually seeing that a wee boy for the scheme was worth putting time into, worth putting effort into. I think of Colin every Thursday afternoon after school, going to his loft and studying the Bible together as a young guy, and him making it alive for me. It was absolutely brilliant. Being welcomed into Debbie and Stephen's house and just going and relaxing and hanging out there and spending time with people who really loved us. These were folks that didn't just have a faith, they lived their faith. Finding faith at a young age was really important for me, but one of the big things in my heart was recognising just the mess that my dad's life was in. And when I was a young age, I asked the guys at the church about prayer. How do I pray? And they said, what is it you really want God to do? And there was only 4 words that came to my mind, and it was, Lord, save my dad. And my dad had quite a difficult background. He would say he was an atheist. He worked hard during the week, but he drank harder at the weekend. And that affected our family. You never knew. You were kind of walking on eggshells at the weekend, not knowing what was going to happen. Unknown to me as well, that things had happened in my dad's life in the past that had messed him up a bit. So his idea of God was really alien, I suppose. But I decided that was going to be what I prayed for. 4 wee words, Lord, save my dad. And one day, just round where I walked from, David Buchan was getting into the ice cream van, which stopped just at the cul-de-sac. And my dad was sitting at the front doorstep, and he shouted, "Oh David, I need to speak to you." I had no idea what was going to happen, but you'll never imagine that the next morning when I woke up, my dad was sitting on the couch, David was still in my house, and he says, "John, I found Jesus." And that was a moment that transformed my dad's life. You know, everybody sat on their doorsteps. But that day, it was the right time at the right place and for my dad to find faith. View Park, when I was growing up, would have been classed as what was called a priority treatment area. There was a lot of people living in poverty at that time, and the government was looking to see how they could plough money into areas like this to try and help and to try and stop people from kind of living in a chain that they had got themselves into, with addictions and problems and everything else. So what you would find is that we would have youth clubs and various things, that play schemes I remember used to come in to the town. And my mum was actually involved in a youth club before the church even came here, to try and help folks from different areas, to give them something to do, to get them off the streets. So I got to know all the characters, all the big personalities. You got to see all the folks that in normal circumstances might have given you a bit of bother walking through the scheme, but because they knew my mum, I was pretty safe and everything was all right. But when the church came in, they decided they were going to run youth clubs and kind of take over that. Although the work that my mum had been involved in actually established as the Focus Youth Centre, which still runs to this day, although it's probably shut with the COVID situation. A youth centre to take young people and train them and give them skills. But the guys from the church and the youth clubs they showed me something that I had never really expected. They used to love all the young team that gave them hassle. It never really impacted them and affected them. And I remember that was the first time I had seen how people could really love God and really love people. I saw how this team invested their lives and their time into those who were broken in this community. I saw how they loved the people that were struggling through life and actually gave them hope and let them see that God loved them. And for me at a young age, I admired it. I saw these people's faith in action. I remember as a wee boy getting the opportunity to learn how to play the guitar. My mum and dad could never have afforded to get me guitar lessons. But David decided, well, I don't want to be the only guitar player in the church. So he decided that he was going to teach me so that I could then play and serve in the church. And that was a huge thing. And then that helped get me through school, which was absolutely brilliant. So I saw how these people loved me, but it was all because they loved God. I could see that they were willing to give up their careers. You know, some of them had their own businesses. Some were social workers. Some were involved in their own managerial positions, and then suddenly they're living in a place like View Park where most people wanted to get out of some of the areas rather than moving in, and that's where this team went. So right as from a young age, to me that showed me just their commitment to what it was that they were saying. They'll put their faith in action, and that's inspired me to this day. So looking back at my life and the time in View Park and looking to this moment now, I've said many times I could never have imagined that God was going to take me on a journey from the scheme to then take me to Bible college at Motherwell and Glow. As I was growing up, I always had this desire to learn more, but I really wanted to serve. So as part of that journey, I wanted to go and study and find out more about what the Bible said. I wanted to know how to reach out to different people. And as part of that, going to Glow was a big dream of mine. But it seemed like an impossible dream because it was going to cost quite a lot of money to get there. But God had a plan to get me to study, which was then going to take me on a journey from, well, I suppose from View Park to Motherwell, and then that would take me from Motherwell to Cardiff. And I'll share about that next week. But in creating this video for tonight, I went to View Park to record these scenes that you've seen just a few minutes ago. And I had went with the intention of getting it recorded, getting it sorted and getting it home so that I could edit it. But God had other ideas. I managed to go down the glen as you saw, and I met a man who was just out on a walk, just for his daily exercise. I hadn't been in that glen for years and I was there to record. And I bumped into this guy who I simply said hello to, and he was looking for some directions. And then I spent 2.5 hours actually talking to him about life, about work, but more importantly, about faith. And I suddenly realised that I had a plan to share my story with you, but I got to share that story with some random guy that I've never met before. And Bert, if you're watching tonight, make sure you get in touch. Because again, I wanted to take it away from just the whole idea of knowing what faith is about. But but actually sharing that you can experience real faith for yourself. And it's not something that's beyond reach. Actually, God wants to connect with you even right now, as he did with me as a wee boy in View Park, as he did with my dad at 45-year-old and transformed his life, as he transformed my pal Billy who watches every week, as he transformed my family, my neighbours, my friends. My desire and everything that I do is that maybe you would connect with God tonight, that you would have that same passion to tell others about how God has changed your life. And like we were thinking about last week with the wee boy that had 5 loaves and 2 fish, saying, I'm going to give you, God, what I have so that you can do something much more incredible than I could ever do. This verse beside me says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Are you watching tonight and you want hope and you want a future? God's got it for you. But then the last bit of that verse says, if you seek me with all of your heart, you will find me. And that's my desire as I live every day, that through my simple life and through my simple faith, it would make a big impact on the community that I'm living in and working in now. So think about these things. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that today, as I went to record this message for tonight, that God wanted me in that glen to speak to that man and to share the faith that I had. I believe that you're watching tonight, and this is no coincidence, that God wants to touch you, God wants to change you, and God wants to transform you. He wants to give you a hope and a future, and I hope you can discover that through this simple message. So I just want to take a minute to pray, and I want to thank you for tuning in tonight for the first part of my story. You'll be able to see next week how God took us from Cardiff to Johnston and what he did there. But let's just take a moment to pray as we bring this to a close. Father, I thank you that you want to speak to us tonight and that you want to challenge us tonight to be the people that you've designed us to be. You want us, Lord, to search for you, for your will, for your plan. And I pray that as we are here tonight and as we're watching, whoever's watching, Lord, that this is no coincidence, that you want to speak into people's lives. Thank you, Lord, for this time we've spent. And I do pray, Lord, that you would speak in a powerful way right now. We commit these things in your name. Amen.
John, thank you so much for sharing that with us tonight. And again, guys, as we say every week, if anything that's been said tonight has spoke to you, if you want that same God that radically changed John's life to change yours, if you know you need a change, if you know you need to look at this faith thing, this relationship with Jesus more seriously, I would just encourage you to reach out to me tonight. Send me a message, Dave at homechurch.scot, or find us on Facebook under Home Church Scotland, and we'll be in touch with you. We can talk together, we can pray together, we can introduce you to Jesus. Or guys, honestly, there's going to be a few of us on Zoom tonight. Just come straight on and say hi, chat to us. We're a right good friendly bunch and would love to spend some time with you tonight. As always, we'll just finish with a closing hymn, and then I look forward to seeing all of you that can get on to what's going to be our final Zoom hangout of the session. We'll see you guys in about 5 to 10 minutes time. Thanks for being with us tonight. Sunday morning, communion 9:30, and the service at 11 o'clock. Can't wait to see you there. God bless.
There's nothing worth more that will ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, Lord. Now you've tasted and seen the sweetest of loves, where my heart becomes free and my shame is undone. to be overcome by your presence, Lord. There's nothing worth more that will ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, Lord. And I've tasted and seen the sweetest of loves, where my heart becomes free and my shame is undone. Your presence, Lord. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our